welcome. This is Deconversion Therapy, and I'm Karen.
And I'm your angry friend, Bonnie.
And we're just yelling about the news right now and other people. But welcome. I'm glad you decided to spend this 8 hours with us on our podcast episode. This is a Lettersode, so it's your favorite. You get to hear from other people. But please find us on Instagram. Our Facebook group is really fascinating right now because people are posting some things that family are posting about Jesus or are posting on their walls to get their attention. And like,
I thought you meant actual walls, like a poster.
Yes.
Jesus rocks.
With the nail and the hammer. But
I just had an awful vision of like a pin the tail on the donkey thing with nails and Jesus. Right? That's mean. Yeah. Is that awful? Do we have to edit that out?
But the things on the things in the Facebook group that people are posting are funny because they're memes that I guess their Christian families are putting up on their Facebook, and they are barely coherent.
So this is the same version as rock music making it down to the Christian ranks. Memes have finally made it to the Jesus folk.
Yeah. Or they're trying so hard, but they only really know to put a pink background and cursive writing. They haven't really.
Yes. Yeah. I can't believe you said that. That's exactly what I was going to show you. Okay. So
I'm a mind reader.
That font where the R looks like an indecipherable letter. Yeah. That's like all over every piece of quote unquote art in Hobby Lobby. Where the sayings are on the piece of wood that was made in China. So finally, I sent it to you, and I'm glad you watched it. They did a sketch on this on Saturday Night Live of somebody getting all of these things that are just pieces of wood painted with sayings on them. And she's like, "Oh, you know how I love art."
I watched it and I loved it.
Did you live, laugh, love it?
I did. I gathered. And it was so great. It's the lady who played the lead on that. Is that the same one that did the show Shrill?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Amy Bryant.
I really like her.
She's
great.
Shrill. Yeah. Well, So this morning, my friend Heather sent me a piece of art like this that a friend of hers took in a random person's house. She's also a realtor. We're out there taking pictures of your shit and sending them to friends, not posting them publicly. We're just laughing at your garbage. That's awful.
And by the way, if anyone of our listeners have this, we've appreciated the time you've spent with us so far.
No. These are just to laugh at amongst ourselves. I would never say this of what it was, but it was just one of those dumb sayings. And this is the thing that I've always said to you is like the people in these factories in China have long been making fun of us for all these sayings.
Yeah.
That we put on pieces of wood and sell in stores. But they must be thinking, what do these people do with all this liquor? You know, all these wine jokes that are on these signs and stuff. Anyway, so there's that one font that I call the Christian jaunty font.
Yeah.
It's that real swirly cursive, and it's angled.
But with a bit of sass.
Yeah, it's sassy. But so I Googled jaunty font, and then this came up, and I'm sending you a text of it right now, and it kind of has something to do with Jesus, but it's very weird. So you can read what it is and discover it as I did.
Oh, okay.
Here's the Amazon entry.
All right. So the book itself does not even have the author's name on that. So that's an oversight when you self-publish your book.
Because when you read what it is, it's really not an author.
It's something. It's going on. So you got the big cross, and then you have, it's all in silhouette. A big cross. There's a sun in the background, and there's someone standing sort of with their arms up, like almost they're doing the cross, like, praise be. But the name of the book is I'm Jaunty.
What the hell does that mean?
Now, my favorite part is that there's a subtitle on the where the title goes on Amazon, but that is not included on the cover.
No, because this is not a book for reading. This is your
subtitle, Your Private and Confidential, because those aren't interchangeable. Your Private and Confidential Journaling Notebook, again interchangeable, for overcoming cocaine dependence.
What the fuck? Well, first of all, it doesn't have a lock on it. How are they guaranteeing private and confidential?
Because they said it twice.
Oh.
Okay.
So it does have prompts in there for your journaling needs.
All right. So I just looked up jaunty cocaine because I'm like, is that like a cocaine saying? That
No, because they also, for $1.50 less, sell I'm Jaunty, an endometrial cancer treatment overcomers and survivors prompt line journal.
Oh no.
Isn't that
does
weird?
Not seem jaunty.
What does that mean? I'm jaunty. Anyway, we used to laugh at, like any hat you'd stick on, like, I'm jaunty.
Aha. Yeah. Here's my private cocaine journal of all my jaunts. I
just want to buy one of those.
Maybe it's like a secret, like right in here where you keep your cocaine.
Your cocaine.
Because no one's ever going to open I'm Jaunty with a cross.
But I want to be 16 and buy that and just leave it haphazardly around the house. For like your parent to find, I'm a what?
But they'd have to open it because still the subtitle isn't on the front. I bet they're like,
trying to overcome cocaine addiction?
I'm going to look up that author. I need to find their website where they do their about and just see.
Well, and my big hope was that there would be some reviews, but there weren't.
There weren't.
I don't know. Maybe that'd be just a fun notebook to have. I don't know.
I'm assuming I'm not giving money to that person's cocaine habit.
It's just going to be scrap paper from things that were already printed out on your printer that were a mistake, stapled together. Like the seller's like, I sold one. Can you review
Staples
this
not
for me?
Included.
Oh my God.
Remember that book? It was like 2 decades ago, and it was like a thick book, and it said, the title was like Everything Men Know About Women, and every page was blank.
Yeah.
And I was so pissed. I'm like, why didn't I think of this? Because they're like raking in the money for not writing a book.
It's the pet rock of books.
My grandmother had pet shells. And then she gave me one and said, before I die, I want you to have this one. And it just was like a shell with googly eyes.
There's somebody in our complex that paints rocks. Sorry, who paints rocks?
Yeah, that's a big thing here, too.
Yeah.
So you can find them out in the wild?
Yes. So there's one currently that's a nice even oval shape, and she's painted it like a little shoe, like a little Adidas running shoe from the 70s. Oh. And it's been on the mailboxes. It's currently at the base of the door where you open to throw your trash out. I don't know who's moving it around.
Got it. So it
moves.
Essentially, right, an elf on the shelf for the fingers. It moves here, it moves there. It's very jaunty.
It's jaunty. So I have something else that I'm going to try to make happen. And
all right.
maybe you can help me. So somewhere along the line, whenever anybody sends me anything that's shocking, I send them back on a text, JFC, for like Jesus fucking Christ. But I don't want to say Jesus fucking Christ because I want to be kind of respectful. But then I keep hearing in my head, like, KFC. I'm like, oh, KFC bowls. You know how Patton Oswalt's bit was like, oh, these bowls of all the things from Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's just a big failure pile in a sadness bowl. Right. So I'm like, I want my saying to be JFC bowls. So let's make that happen.
Okay, so that's it.
That's
JFC bowls.
That's my fetch. I'm trying you're not going to make fetch happen. Spread it around.
Well, keep your happiness because I really have to go to the bathroom. I never have to.
I'm drinking coffee.
Enjoy. Before we get into our letters, thank you to everyone who keeps subscribing to our secret, wonderful, amazing, which we haven't written the first one yet, newsletter that is going to be filled with lots of cool things and for supporting the podcast. And some people paid a year.
Wow.
All in one sum. People are rolling in it, and we didn't
in
know.
It. You know what I think we should name it?
What?
Thoughts and prayers. Come on.
I think thoughts and prayers. I think, what else?
No, we're going to make thoughts and
epistles, but we put 2 S's in episs.
Epistles.
Edgy.
JFC bowls. Making fetch happen.
Okay, you want to read the first letter?
Yes. Man, okay, just because this is where we are in the news cycle, people were none too polite. Yesterday, Rush Limbaugh died, and they were not real nice about it.
You know, I liked that someone said, don't celebrate his death, mourn his life. I'm like, good one. But yeah, I'm not too pleasant about it either. And for people who don't know, by the time they hear this, Carmen would have been dead for like a week. I did not post our fantastic episode about him because I thought it would be tacky. And although I'm tacky, I still didn't do it. But you can go look for it if you're like, who is this guy? What's this guy about? What were scandals? And what were his health issues? It's all tucked in there. So there you go.
So before I read this, I will tell you, I met some people yesterday in a showing who were just dead serious. You couldn't... Right. And I was thinking the only way to describe them was they would never, ever get the giggles in church.
Right.
Ever. Anyhow. So let's go to a letter. I'm going to go right down to the bottom where it has the question. I want my name shared on the podcast. Yes. Okay. So her name is Linda.
We've done a Linda recently.
Dear Bonnie and Karen, please don't use my name. Oh, I'm kidding. I just wanted to take a minute to tell you how much I appreciate your podcast. It is so refreshing to be able to laugh about what in many ways is a past trauma. That's true, but I hope that nobody else has real trauma. We're just laughing at quasi-trauma. You know? Don't you think?
They do have trauma.
They do. I know.
I hope they don't come to us for the trauma.
No. But
we do have resources.
Yes. And I love that that's an actual topic that people in the psychiatric profession now talk about dealing with. Religious trauma. Okay. Let's see. I like to tell people I suffer from post-traumatic church syndrome. Yes.
Amen, sister. Ooh, let's put that on a piece of wood.
I grew up as an army brat and preacher's kid. My father retired from the military when I was 13 and soon after became a Presbyterian minister. See, I count myself lucky that he started off in the military because we went to churches on base that were mild compared to the ones after his retirement. He has since converted to Anglican and is now a priest, but that's a whole different story.
What?
I grew up in fear of the rapture and shame for my natural responses to the world. Most of my teens was spent in lockdown. I was basically terminally grounded.
Oh. As we laugh. Oh, yeah.
I think I was terminally grounded from just being a Christian.
I was grounded all the time, like punishment.
Really?
And I'm like, I was such a good kid.
What were you doing?
Nothing. Like if I came home even a little bit late,
Really?
Or like talking back, just having like, yes. So in our newsletter, I'm going to be writing about some of my stuff that's been coming up, my religious trauma that I never thought I had, but I do. Because, you can get grounded when you're supposed to be living up to Jesus. You're going to miss the mark.
Wow. I never knew that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
There's a
I've
lot
blocked
of
it
shit.
out.
You're probably not even signed up for the newsletter, so you won't know.
That's not true. All right. Hi. All right. Get down, doggy. All right. That's nice. Okay. So every chance I got to be in the world, I lived with gusto. I was up for anything and desperately wanted to experience all I could. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, baby. In other words, I was the quintessential preacher's kid, army brat.
Yeah.
When I was 11, my parents sent me to a new school. It was a Baptist K through 12 private school. Ugh, probably similar to what you grew up with. I don't know. Ours was so small.
It didn't say hers was big.
I know. I
What
just
if she
feel
was
like we
at
were like the
ours?
gray gardens of schools.
I know.
But fortunately, a new and brief experience for me. The dress code was very strict for girls. We had to wear skirts past our knees and blouses with sleeves. For PE, that's physical education for you guys, not in the PE calling it areas. That can also be known as gym. The genders were separated and girls had to wear culottes, no shorts or pants. I found the culottes kind of weird, but figured skirts and shirts was no big deal. I also heard from the kids that they were not allowed to swim with people of the opposite sex unless they were related. Was that true for you too?
No. I didn't have like that kind of, strictness.
But
it was more my attitude.
Right, and she was asking us, not me asking you. But,
then we don't care, Linda.
but we grew up in Florida, so there was definitely more of a swimming all the time culture. And,
yes. But there was a fear when we, some of our roommates, you'd already gone to Georgia, and we joined a gym accidentally because we wanted to go spy on someone, and we were all talked into $300 a month membership things that our parents had to bail us out of.
A month?
But we got to go a few times or something, and we were horrified to get into the jacuzzi because we had heard the rumor that if a guy had ejaculated in there, we were afraid we'd get pregnant going in.
Oh, that's disgusting. And should have been extremely explained to you
Right.
a long time before that. All right. So, one day I wore my new Hawaiian shirt with a tank top layered underneath and my new pencil skirt with a kick-pleat slit in the front. I thought I was so cute, but this did not go over well with my teacher. By the way, male teacher. I was sent to the principal's office and given a lecture on the importance of modesty. Also, by the way, I was a totally prepubescent 11-year-old girl, not a curve on my body yet.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He then stapled my blouse up to the collar and stapled my kick pleat closed.
Oh my God.
And I had to walk around the rest of the school day with those damn staples in my clothes. Much less you staple the kick-pleat together. You can't kick too much. And so little tiny walks. Oh, my God. Little tiny steps. The girls in the school were already not that friendly to me, and that day was especially rough. Thankfully, the next year I was sent to a different school, Catholic school, and those kids were super fun. We danced to Prince during recess and drank schnapps at sleepovers. Sincerely, Linda.
It's slut stapling is what it is.
But you know what? I mean, if nothing else, he hurt her property. You don't staple somebody's clothes.
Hurt her property. Not damaged it.
Whatever.
But hurt its feelings.
He harmed it.
And the whole idea, again, that you have a male going, okay, that's going to be too provocative. How did you come to that thought that that's going to be too provocative? You know what I'm saying? Bonnie just held up her stapler. She just stapled her kick-pleat hat.
My kick-pleat. Unbelievable.
This is from Emily. She said, I grew up in Texas in a big, very tight-knit Catholic family. Although my parents raised me and my siblings Methodist, my extended family's all Catholic. Rebels. In high school, I met and later married a Southern boy, and luckily we deconverted together. Very rare. Happened to me too. Like most kids from Catholic families with 30 cousins, I have a weird cousin.
One.
He's a year older than me, was obsessed with video games, horror movies, and kept to himself most of the time.
Oh, gosh.
That is all our listeners because they post their stuff. He didn't fit in with my brothers or other guy cousins. He usually just sat in the corner and stared at everyone. Being the friendly kid I was, I tried my best to befriend him. We didn't have much in common, but I really tried. Later in high school years, we bonded over being marching band geeks. Cut to Easter 5 years ago. I was 25 at the time, and like a true, close-knit Catholic family, many of my aunt and uncles live on the same street as we do.
That's such a thing that I gathered was happening in Staten Island.
I didn't
from
read
reading Colin Jost. I don't know where she lives, but after watching like King of Staten Island and reading Colin's book,
right,
they all were like, "Oh, let's all live on the same street together."
And I misread it, but it's close enough. She said that the Catholic, many of them lived on the same street as the grandparents. So close enough.
Okay.
But yeah, I wonder, I mean, the Kennedys did that too. They're Catholic.
Okay. Well, and, you know, everybody loves Raymond. Right next door.
I never understood.
Don't even.
No.
Don't even.
Not gonna. So every holiday, there's 60 plus people there. And she means at her grandparents. I'm sitting on my porch. Well, no, maybe she's there. We don't, she needs a write-in. Emily, I need a map. So every holiday, there's 60 plus people there. I'm sitting on my porch, waiting for my husband to use my grandma's restroom when my weird cousin walks up. We start our usual small talk when he tells me he needs to apologize to me.
Oh, no.
I ask him why, and he proceeds to tell me that he's been focusing on his faith more and needs to apologize to people he has wronged.
Oh, no.
I think I'm going to apologize for something stupid. Whoops. I think he's going to apologize for something stupid, like breaking my toy as kids or something along those lines. Instead, he tells me he used to have impure thoughts about me as a kid/teen.
I knew it.
And he needs me to forgive him.
I knew it.
He also mumbles.
No, don't share that. Oh, that's so shitty.
Wait, there's more. He also mumbles something about my feet being part of it. I'm so shocked
No.
and grossed out that I just shake my head, at which point my clueless husband comes out of the house and greets him. They make small talk for a few minutes while I sit there trying to process the weirdness that just transpired and trying to hide my exposed feet. Eventually, he walks off after thanking me for forgiving him. I mean, because what are your choices? I turned to my husband.
I love that it's probably like, yes, I forgive you, go away. Yes,
I know.
Yes, whatever. What a shithead to burden her with that. I'm sorry. That just upsets me so much.
He had to do what was right. I turned to my husband and tell him everything. We finish out the day after telling my mom what happened, to which she replied, he's just a little weird. A little weird? One of my aunts was in the room when I told my mom, and her reply was, what the fuck? That's not okay.
Thank you. The voice of sanity.
At least she had my back. I mean, who the hell tells their cousin that kind of shit 15 plus years after the fact? Needless to say, I avoid him and grandparents' house because at 30, he still lives with his parents down the street from them and is over all the time. When I do have to see him, I wear closed-toed shoes. My husband's not allowed to leave my side, and I basically only say hi to him. He's my only cousin who doesn't get a hug because he's gross. My mom thinks I'm too harsh, but I think he's lucky I didn't punch him in the face immediately. Seriously. Karen, your story in the, quote, Stop Being Sexy episode reminded me of this one, and I had to share. Thanks for the podcast. Y'all have helped me exit my angry phase and enter the, quote, this shit can actually be funny phase. That's huge.
That is big.
Yeah. Also, I, too, have a dog named Forrest.
Aww.
He's a 10-year-old dachshund. Oh, never mind. And my best friend.
My God, I'm so obsessed with wiener dogs lately. There is one who lives in England, by the way. His name is Bosco, and he carries these giant sticks. So his Instagram account is Bosco and his big stick, I think. And all it is videos of him.
There we go to another fetish site.
It's just videos of him walking around the park with a giant stick, whacking people in the legs, people looking at him. Anyway, that was awesome, but that's just a wildly inappropriate way to bring it all up again. To force her into dealing with it.
And she has to forgive him because they're at a family reunion.
Oh, and so what would God want her to do?
Right.
I'd love her to go, like, no, I'm not going to fucking forgive you.
Or smush her feet into his face. No,
that would be nice for him.
Yeah. Oh. Man, I was just boiling again today. I'm doing some journaling that's helping me about different, friendships I've had with Christian guys that no longer talk to me. And again, I've talked about this before, that it's their call. Like, it's always, their call to be like, no, you can't talk to me. So your life will be altered because of what I'm going through. And that's the same with Footman.
I don't believe that guys want to be friends with girls unless they like the idea of having sex with them eventually.
Looking at their feet.
Yeah. No, I think that once they realize it's not going to happen, then they can sever the relationship and be shitty to you. Like, it's not good for us to be friends because I still want my dick inside you. Wait, though. So just wondering if you're doing the same thing I'm doing, or have you been listening?
Yes.
What?
I was going to tell you that. That was my surprise.
Tell me what?
I took your advice and listened to The Cure for Chronic Pain.
Did I send you that?
You told me that you'd been listening to it, and I know Georgia
Oh.
Hartstark had been listening to it.
Oh my God.
The last
So
3
good.
days, I've been doing that, and that's some stuff I was going to write in the newsletter. Like, I've come to some realizations I had never put together before.
Me too. And that's what I was going to say. We should do a whole episode about that because basically this therapist says that a lot of the shit that you go through in life emotionally is contributing to your body manifesting pain somewhere. And once you deal with feeling the emotions, then that can stop, resonating to your body as pain. And I'm not explaining it the perfect way that she would.
Well, I want to do it more in the newsletter just because I want our newsletters to get something special. But I think we should do that because I want to take a more serious bent in there that we don't get to say all the time. But I think we should because anyone who gets in the newsletter can see it whenever. But I think...
But so many of the things that we were told not to do and think and feel were ways that we were repressed by the church upbringing. And the fact that we weren't allowed to feel them has made them get stuck in our brains and result in pain.
And that's religious trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my third day doing it. And
me too.
Have
you been listening to the podcast?
I've listened to one or two, but I actually watched her videos. That helped me a little more.
I did.
Because I
watched her YouTube videos.
How to do it.
Yep.
I haven't even made my lists. I have just been sat down and been I'm ready to get, I know what I'm going to write about.
All right. So here's letter number 3 for everybody. And as I scroll down, it says it's okay to use her name. And then it says first name only, please. So that's good. Let's see. I just found your podcast and I am enjoying it a little too much. Wow. What are you going to have to apologize to us for over-loving us and your secret life? Never mind. That's mean. That's a callback to the previous letter. 40 years of 40 years of independent Baptist fundamentalism. And now I'm out. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
take a nap.
Your podcast makes me laugh at all the things I remember. Yeah, good. I'm so happy that there are other people out there finding this because
totally.
We used to just go, do other people think this is as weird as we do?
And and were other people as proud as I was for always coming in second in the sword drill?
Yeah, or how many weeks you would go to church and not miss?
I know.
Somehow that was no one was taking attendance, by the way, not even God. Anyway, let's see. Story number 1. She said she has more, but this is just one for the email. In the mid-1980s, good times. I attended a very conservative
wheelhouse now. Wait, go ahead. Okay. I would just want to say, in the mid-80s, I had what is called a partial perm, and I don't think a lot of people know what that is. So that's when you have curly hair, but it's a little uneven, a little wavy.
Right.
And you go to your mom's hairdresser, and they put different tiny rods in different places in your hair to give
even
it some
out.
volume. It gives it some volume, some pizzazz.
Now, I wonder if your mom's hairdresser was the one who was also my mom's hairdresser, who called her one night years later out and about with somebody looking for money so he could buy cocaine. The cocaine theme of this episode is not lost on me.
Well, I think once or twice she moved to that person, but she had some of the other people also.
I think she had the lady who always said, looking good.
that my mother would go every Friday to get her hair done and set. And and my mom was young and like stylish. That wasn't like an old person thing to do in those days.
No.
It's insane. Yeah.
But she also had good, like, floppy hair that was curly that didn't look like hot rollered, like, didn't look like my grandmother's curled and set hair that had to be prepared under a turban for a day.
I really did have my country grandfather's second wife actually did roll her hair in beer cans. So we'd see her like whenever we'd stay there with like Miller Lite cans.
That's hilarious.
And then in their bread box, they had those little Debbie oatmeal cookies in the wraps.
Don't wrap your hair in those, people. But I do remember in the pool, your mom would never get her head underwater.
No way.
And I always wanted that to happen for some reason.
I'd seen it. I had seen it happen, but I mean, you had to catch her, I guess, on a Thursday before or Friday morning before she was getting it all done.
I love that.
Okay, back to those mid-'80s.
So, okay, in the mid-'80s, take two. In the mid-1980s, I attended a very conservative, independent Baptist, fundamental evangelical church. Exceptionally conservative. Lots of loud sermons about staying out of the world and worldly music. Yep. My older brother was 19 and loved music, played the piano for church. They had a Sunday service where we were all asked/demanded to bring all of our worldly music to be destroyed. Are you kidding me? I would bring like a token crap LP if they did that to me.
We did that. We did that on a Wednesday night.
You did.
After, yes. You can, one of the guys we still keep in touch with talks about that time. Yeah.
Ugh, that's horseshit. I would buy a fake decoy LP to bring in. Here's a K-Tel, Ronco, whatever. Best of. Okay, so people brought in cassette tapes from the 1970s. Actually, I remember the cassette tapes now. I do remember this happening.
Yeah, because they let out some toxic fumes. We didn't think of that.
People brought in cassette tapes from the 1970s of old AM radio rock. My brother shamefully brought in his most sinful album, Making Love Out of Nothing at All by Air Supply. The girl he liked at the time said she was so proud of him for letting go of the sin. We all caravanned as a church and drove to an old clay pit where people had brought rifles and pistols and they shot the records and cassettes to destroy them. I can't believe we did this, but at least we didn't have a bonfire at the church. Yeah, that would have been more fun. To shoot them.
I think we did it at the church.
Sure.
But you shot into...
I guess they weren't holding them while they shot them.
Yeah. Hey, shoot my Whitney Houston. Earl, shoot this.
Earl.
My God.
In keeping with the shooting theme, the next pastor that came in would tell us every year in the weeks leading up to the Super Bowl Sunday that he would pray that God destroys the TV of anyone who stayed home on Sunday night to watch the Super Bowl. That's just mean.
That's what do you remember what our pastor, it was clockwork. If we could just have the enthusiasm we have to attend church, like people watch the Super Bowl, and get as excited every time because we are on the winning team.
Oh my gosh. It sounds familiar, but at the same time, like, let us have some joy. He also claimed that he had blown up 3 or 4 people's TVs this way. Sure.
What?
Finally, and TVs were a lot more expensive in the mid-'80s, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Finally, in the same church, it was frowned upon if you didn't take your Bible everywhere. Sure. Work, school, wherever you went. Carry a full-size Bible so you could witness to anyone, anywhere. No pocket Bibles. No. Be proud. So in 1986, when I graduated high school, I carried my full-size King James leather cover-bound Bible into the event center and held it for 2 hours during the speeches. Then had to leave it in my seat so I could walk across the stage. Then I had to find my exact seat again so I could then hold my Bible for another hour until the graduation was over.
Oh my God.
Later, someone questioned why I hadn't carried the Bible across the stage as I graduated to show how proud I was of Jesus. Oh, way to shit all over somebody.
Right.
Oh my God.
That's hilarious.
Since I needed one hand to shake the principal's hand and one hand to hold the diploma, not really sure where I would have put the Bible. Under my arm, on top of my head, unsure. Thank you. Oh my God.
If God wanted you to have the Bible, he would have given you 3 arms.
That's right.
Or you should have had one of those baby Bjorns made by your mother.
They probably have those now.
My Bible.
I can only imagine, like, do people bring iPad Bibles to church now? These are the things we don't know. You don't know.
I know
you
things.
Don't know.
I think they still like the good old, thing. What if your only Bible was the one that Joe Biden had at his inauguration? And we have one of those. We have one from 18 something.
We
a family
too.
Bible. That what?
We do too. I know.
That no one in my husband's family wanted. So I'm like, I'll take it. It's cool.
It can prop up a computer. That's awful. It's not sacrilegious.
It's cool because it's old timey. That's what's cool about it.
Like, what other books are that big? A book of spells?
That's right. And they've changed so much. Jesus has gotten saved since them days. Well, thank you for all the letters. Please keep them coming. We need all the laughter we can get. So hide your toes from your cousins, and we'll see you.
Don't be a stumbling block.
God. See you next week. Bye.